Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be surviving 100 days in hardcore Minecraft. If you somehow don't know how hardcore mode works, let me tell you. When you join a world on hardcore, the difficulty is locked on hard mode, making your life a nightmare. But the real threat you have to worry about is that if you die, the world is deleted permanently. So knowing all this, do you think I made it to 100 days? Well, you'll find out in this video, so sit back, relax, and enjoy as we get into day number 1. Day 1 starts about the same as any other survival playthrough does. I chop down a bunch of trees. But first, I have to wait about 2 years for my computer to calm down and load the world in. How fun. Yeah, the lag is going to be a bit of a common theme throughout these early days. And also, you might notice the big Lunar Client logo in the bottom corner. Don't worry, I'm not cheating. It's just better for performance. Though looking at the footage, you probably wouldn't think so. After getting some stone tools, I went over to mine some more trees and, oh, wait, is that a village? Nice. Villagers are great, especially at the beginning of a survival world. Not only can I get some decent food from here, but there also might be some nice tools for me to grab. Nah, I didn't find much of anything in this village. Spruce villages are honestly probably the worst ones to get. And I didn't know this at the time, but leaving without locking up the villagers was a terrible mistake. They're guaranteed to die within a couple days by zombies just roaming around. After pillaging that village, kinda, I went back to my spawn area and got to chopping. I got a decent amount of wood and began building a nice, simple house. Looks don't matter when I'm fighting for my life out here. And then I decided to go get a lay of the land, and I found this cave in the ground guarded by a creeper. Don't worry, I killed him. Only would have lost like 5 minutes if I didn't win that fight anyway, so who cares. And now that these doors are added, it finally feels like home. And that's about all I can say for day 1. Just spent the rest of the day trying to make the house look as nice as possible with what limited resources I had. It looks alright, I guess. I went down to the water to grab some sugarcane, enjoyed the sunset for about half a second, and then went back to my house for fear of death. I was actually starting to kind of like this world. Then I used a bed that I got from one of the villagers to get a good night's sleep. Who cares if I don't have a roof yet? Day 2, I began with much of the same. I started chopping trees, but then the rain started. This isn't good because I can't sleep past it, but mobs can start spawning now, and I don't even have coal yet. Because of all this, I decided to build a mine shack and partake in some mining, just like the title of the game says. But that didn't last long because I realized very quickly that I wouldn't be able to see if I didn't have any torches. So I went back to my house to make some charcoal. I just need a couple of torches and that'll probably get me through the rain. But while getting the wood I needed, my axe broke, which scared me, so I decided that that was enough. I found some copper while mining. Don't worry, even I know it's completely useless. In fact, I'm pretty sure I didn't use any of it during these entire 100 days. After mining and only finding copper for a couple of minutes, I went back up to the surface and took some time to light up my area. I didn't want any mobs spawning on my watch. And somehow I ended the day with less resources than I started with. This is going so great so far. I woke up on day 3, ate some of the berries that I pillaged from that village, and realized that this food would only last me so long, so I needed to start a farm. It also doesn't help that I keep planting them on the ground. God, why? I decided to go back to the village to see if I missed any food. I saw these cows, but I guess I just didn't have the heart to kill them. Oh, they'll die soon. Just not today. But soon. It wasn't a big waste of time though, because I did find a cave right next to the village and it had some coal. I also went to another part of the village I hadn't searched yet and found a bit more food. This journey was worth it. After that big distraction, I finally decided to actually go set up the farm. It's not much, but in a couple of days I'll be self-sustaining. Hooray! But now we're back to mining. Aw, yeah! But it wasn't all fun and games for very long because I dug right into a cave. Oh no. Normally I'd be happy about this. Caves are great for finding the resources you need, but I'm currently naked and I hear skeletons. I'm not going in there. So I went back and strip mined in the opposite direction. It's a much safer life. After a bit of doing that, I finally found iron. Yes! It was only a couple of pieces, but I was happy, as you can clearly tell. And yes, I did stand there the whole time it was cooking. I was just too excited. I made a pickaxe to make my mining faster and a shield. Maybe I'll go adventure that cave now. So on day 4 with my newfound wealth, I ventured right back into that cave with my renewed sense of confidence. Just kidding, I went back to strip mining. And I mined until my pickaxe broke and had nothing to show for it. Well, I guess I found some copper, but that's basically nothing. So I went looking for a cave that's actually useful to me, and I found a little ravine by my house. I'm just hoping there's anything but copper in here. I found some coal, I guess. Still no iron, but at least it's somewhat useful, unlike a certain other ore. Luckily, I still have some leftover iron from the previous vein I found earlier. Hopefully this new pickaxe and helmet will lead me to victory, and more iron preferably. And spoiler alert, but I didn't find any more iron. But I did find some lapis, which is useless to me, so that's cool. On day 5, I decided to just man up and go into the cave. I need that iron, and if I die, whatever, I'm only losing like 30 minutes. Found nothing, except a couple skeletons. But that's it. I'm sad. I spent the rest of my day wallowing in shame and mining. I broke multiple pickaxes in the process. And you want to know the best part? I found gold and even more lapis before I found more than 2 iron. I'm convinced I'm cursed. In the meantime, while I'm contemplating if this world is even worth playing in anymore, I got some bones from the skeleton that I killed, and got some bone meal to grow my crops. It looks like food isn't going to be as big of a problem, at least not for now. But after that, we're back to mining. I had just enough iron to make another pickaxe. That gold deserves what it has coming for it. Same with that lapis, don't think I forgot. But finally, things are starting to look up. I found a bit more iron after I mined those other useless ores. So on the morning of day 6, I waited for each and every last bit of my iron to smelt. It was weirdly calming. I crafted some boots, so now I don't die in 1 hit, I die in 2. And then I actually started having good luck with iron. What is this? This is like a miracle. But everything stopped when I found this absolutely massive cave. Finally, this update shows its true potential. But if you thought I was going to go explore it with just boots and an iron shield, you're going to be very disappointed. I just mined some of the iron I saw on the surface and then left. I wasn't about to die now. While smelting my iron, I decided to go get some crops because I was low on food, go figure. My farm is only made with about 12 wheat. Now it was time. Finally, I had full iron armor. I feel just a bit safer. It was a rainy morning, day 7, so I just ran around killing some mobs and a couple of pigs for food. Gotta test out my new armor somehow. But the real test was gonna be finally exploring that cave I found on day 4, and turns out there was literally nothing in that cave. I don't know why I was so scared. So I just blocked off the cave so I could continue my staircase down. And of course, after about 3 more seconds of mining down, I found an even bigger cave than I've ever found before. And it was absolutely massive, and of course I was scared to go into it. I only had iron armor, and my food supply was already running low. I couldn't afford to even take a heart of damage. After running away from the cave, I went and found those cows that I hadn't killed a couple days earlier. Their time is now. I would say I feel bad, but it's kind of hard to keep your morals in check when you're on the brink of starvation. And right as I got back to my base, I noticed there were some raiders there. I guess this is what you call karma. I dealt with them, but now I have this permanent bad omen effect on my screen. If only I had some cows to get me some milk to get rid of it. Oh god, now my inventory looks weird. I'll fix it in the morning. And I did just that on the morning of day 8. Look at me, I'm a professional. I spent a good chunk of the day just chopping down trees. I wonder what this could be for. You guessed it, I'm gonna be building a wall. In the wisdom of Luke the Notable, a wall is a crucial thing to have so you can be at peace while on your own property. And I want just that. But it's gonna take a while, like a couple days worth of time. So that's what I worked on the rest of the day. Definitely looks weird in some spots, especially around the water. But once it's done, none of that will matter. No zombies will be getting into my base. And like I said, that's all that happened on day 9 too. Just tried to finish the wall and make it look a bit nicer in the process. The only thing of note that happened was a squid got in my way here. Don't worry, he paid for it. I also spent a bit of time making my house look just a bit nicer. With the wall finally finished, I wasn't worried about working at night. And that's the real beauty of having a wall. It keeps all the monsters away. Well, except for spiders. They can just climb right over it. But it's less mobs overall. Day 10 started with a bit of landscaping. You'll find out why if you just shut up and listen. You guessed it, I'm making a bigger and better farm. The reason I had it by the water in the first place was because I didn't have a bucket to move the water, but now I do. And just look at how beautiful this is already. In a couple of days, it's gonna be great. So now that I have that covered, it's time to go spelunking. So I jumped right down into that massive cave, totally saved myself with the water bucket, by the way, and I realized this cave was gonna be great. But first, I had to light it up. Can't have any creepers creeping up on me now, can we? Oh, but this cave was too fun not to explore. It's even interwoven with a mine shaft. All of my dreams are coming true. I mined some redstone and various other ores, but I had to leave because food was running low. But I'll definitely come back. This cave has tons of potential. The first thing I did on day 11 was make a clock. This is really going to help me with recording. I did a bit more work on my farm. As I've said about 30 times now, food is a giant problem for me. I also set up some sugarcane, but that's going to be useful later. Once I was done with that, I went straight back into the mines. I was just too excited. And don't you worry, I definitely nailed that water bucket clutch again. And this is probably the day where I realized how much I hated dripstone. You fall on it from 1 block away and you take a full heart of damage. Absolutely stupid. Also, now's probably a good time to mention I'm not super familiar with the newer versions. Anything past 1.16 is completely foreign to me, so excuse me if I'm not exactly a professional here. I ran past a bunch of mobs just trying to get as many valuables as I could before I ran out of food, and I almost got filzed by a baby zombie. But luckily I've been professionally trained to handle these things. But obviously, eventually I completely ran out of food, and and I had to escape with what little health I had left. This fall certainly didn't help either. I think this clip really shows just how desperate I was for food. I would immediately destroy any crop the second it reached maturity just so I could make a single piece of bread. More farming on day 12, yippee! It was about at this point that I realized an animal farm would probably be the best way to keep my food supply up, so I went out looking. I found a nice group of sheep and figured that was good enough, so I led them back to my base. What I really need is a cow farm, because not only do they have a great supply of food, but they give leather, which will be useful later, but right now I just want the food. It took me like half the day to get them back to my house. They weren't in a rush at all. And I didn't even have a pen ready for them, so I just let them enjoy their semi-freedom while they still could. I got rid of my old decommissioned farm entirely and did a bit of terraforming to make space for their pen, in which they'll experience eternal happiness. Yeah, that's it. On day 13 I made a compass, so if I ever went exploring I wouldn't get lost, but then I found the exact block I've spawned on and decided to put a gold block there. At this point though, it didn't even matter what had to die to feed me. Today I ended up killing a local family of fish. And what's a better time to go into a dangerous cave than when I only have 3 pieces of food on me? I sure hope nothing goes wrong. It did. Things went very wrong. Not only was it laggy as hell down there, but the amount of mobs was staggering. And when my food finally ran out, what did I do? That's right, I stayed and fought the mobs. What was I thinking? Eventually I came to my senses and ran, but God, I could have died down there if I didn't run sooner. I spent the rest of the day killing poor, defenseless animals. Isn't this game fun for the whole family? Oh, and here's the best part. I saw some cows and thought, hey, I have some wheat on me, might as well bring them home. But of course, I stepped too close to the village, and the bad omen that I still hadn't gotten rid of started a raid. Oh God. And if you thought I was gonna face my problem and take on the raid, you are dead wrong. I just continued back to my base with the cows I was there for and ignored it, just like everything else in life. But then I heard a scary horn sound and I got scared off. I didn't take the cows yet. Don't worry though, I got them the next day. I struggled with that for a little bit, but then I got some sort of boost of confidence and decided to go check out the raid for myself. And it was half over too. These iron columns are really holding their I don't think I've ever ran faster in my entire life, and the fear I felt when I heard it muttering behind me will never be matched. I had to take a moment after that to collect myself. But seriously, 7 hearts of damage in a single hit is a bit much, don't you think, Mojang? After that fiasco, I made the stupid, idiotic, absolutely brain-dead move to go back to the village for round 2. And you wouldn't believe it, the same thing happened again! It was at this point I realized it just wasn't worth it, so I just went home and waited for them to despawn. After feeding my animals, I realized that I was going to need a form of storage at some point, because this double chest that I just shove random stuff into is not going to work, so I began to make a basement where this storage would be. Day 15, I continued work on my basement for the first half of the day, and then I tended to my farm a bit. Then I decided to chop down some trees, and for some reason I did it in the section closest to the village. You know, the one that almost killed me twice yesterday. Luckily though, nothing bad happened, and I got a decent amount of trees cut down this day. Pretty productive. On day 16, after I was done with some minor chores, the murder began. Cover your eyes if you don't want to see this, I'll make it quick. See, not so bad. And for legal reasons, I do have to say that multiple sheep were harmed in the making of this video. I can't say I'm sorry, but I can say it happened. After that was all done, I went back into the caves. I actually have food now. It's a great feeling. I found a zombie villager down there too, and if you thought I was going to spare him, think again! I ventured further into the cave, and at this point I was convinced I was going to find diamonds down here. I was dead set on finding them too. Spoiler alert, I didn't find any. I was AFK for half of day 17, probably had to take a poop. But it's fine because I had stuff cooking in the furnace anyway, so it was still technically productive. I decided to go plant some more sugarcane down by the lake because, like I said earlier, I was going to need a lot of it later down the road. I went back down into the mines, really hoping I would find some of those precious diamonds, but no luck again today. I also finally actually used the storage room that I spent half a day building, so that's pretty cool. And I have some bad news. There's no recording for day 18. I thought it wouldn't be the one to mess up like that, but I'm not perfect, okay? But on day 19, where I actually do have footage, you might notice that the day counter says day 18, but don't be alarmed. The day counter is just 1 day off because it started at day 0 while I started at day 1. So if you ever see that and think I'm on the wrong day, just remember, it's off by 1. I went mining once more today, and I explored a different part of the cave. When I said it was big, I meant it. I'd probably only explored half of it up to this point, so the fact that I still hadn't found diamonds was worrying. Oh yeah, and this near-death creeper explosion was worrying too. But really, I just don't know why I let my shield down. This could have all been avoided. And of course, I was out of food again, so I had to run back to the surface to get some for my farm. And then for the rest of the day, I worked on a staircase down to the cows and sheep. Now hopefully the HOA will go mess with someone else! On day 20, while I was mining again, I found a giant squad of skeletons. And that's it. I had a giant cave with branching paths and not a single diamond to show for it. I think I'm truly cursed. Another massacre happened day 21. There were only 10 survivors. Anyway, after I cleaned the blood off my shirt, I got some more work done on my storage room. Once I was mostly done sorting things from the chest on the top floor, I noticed I had a mountain of wood, so I might as well put it to good use. That's right, I'm gonna add a second story to my house, and this will be the bedroom. I needed to move my bed out of the way, so this is a good solution. Once I finished the room, I realized I need another bed to make it symmetrical. That means I have to go back into the village. Wish me luck. I made it. Don't worry. But now I needed to add some finishing touches to the house, and I think windows will look nice. That's why I'm digging sand. Doesn't that just look so nice? Day 22, I decided to go on an adventure! Well, kinda. I really only went a couple hundred blocks away from my house, but I guess it was still kinda fun, right? No, not really that either. I kinda just went out to kill a bunch of defenseless animals, and the lag was just terrible, ugh. Then I came home and cut down a family of trees, because you know what they say, it isn't a good day if it doesn't consist 100% of murder. But yeah, that's all I did until I got tired of it. And there's a reason for this, just be patient. I used all the wood I'd gotten from the tree capitation of the previous day to make my house look a bit better, because I realized when I look at it from afar, it looked very bland. So what did I do? That's right, I put logs on the corners. Now that's professional. The rest of the day consisted of chopping down trees and putting things in chests. It was very boring. It's day 24 and I'm tired of waiting. I'm gonna clear this farm out. It's mostly done growing and I'm impatient. Yeah, the first big chunk of the day was just purely chores that needed to get done. After I was done with that, I got bored again and I didn't want to chop trees or mine, so what did I do? I built a bridge. To where? Honestly, I don't even know, but it's safe and it killed a bunch of time, so that's all that mattered. Okay, I lied. I had to do a bit more mining, but it was just to get more granite and diorite for my very important bridge, okay? And just as the sun left the sky completely, I finished it. Now, it doesn't have any safety features or lighting, but at least it's done. I also did a bit of yard work before I called it a day. And at long last, we've made it! Well, at least a quarter of the way there. But there's no time for celebration, I will never stop working. I finished the bridge with safety features and lighting, but I still had some daylight left, so I might as well kinda use the bridge to see what's on the other side, right? So I grabbed a boat and set sail on the water. And I have some bad news. There was nothing. I searched the entire day and found absolutely nothing. I even kind of looked for the ocean, but I still couldn't find that. So I'm just gonna skip over all that if you don't mind. But trust me, you aren't missing much. Especially since it was super laggy, it's probably best if we just move on. But today, day 26 to be exact, is the day that I find diamonds. In fact, I'm not coming out of this cave until I find them, mark my words. And after searching for what felt like forever, I turned the corner and found those diamonds. But to my dismay, it was only 2. 2 is like the worst amount to get in your first vein, because you can't do anything useful with it. And it's almost insulting in a way. Like, at least if you get 1, you can store it as like a trophy or something. Oh god! You know when I said I would never feel the same fear again after almost getting 2-shot by a raider? I think I changed my mind. I'm honestly really lucky to even be alive still. A skeleton could have easily come out of nowhere and finished the job that the creeper started, but luckily that wasn't the case. But if that isn't a showcase of how brutal creepers are in hardcore, I don't know what is. I guess the game felt bad for me though, because I found another 2 vein of diamonds, though it was guarded by another creeper. But I think I've had enough adventure for one day. Or a lifetime, to be honest. So I just kept it simple the next day, just bred my animals and chopped trees the whole day. I don't think I'll be able to go back to that cave anytime soon. Day 28 was mostly the same, just continued my rampage on the trees around my base. But today made me remember the hardest thing about chopping down trees is chopping down every single one that's connected. Otherwise, the leaves will just be floating there forever because the game thinks it's all one tree. I also just really hate spruce trees because so many of them are just 1 block too tall and I have to build up to completely destroy them. It just wastes so much time. You know, all this tree chopping says a lot about our society. Well, not really because it's a block game, but lucky for me, some more raiders showed up to break up the monotony. Don't worry though, I had my milk bucket locked and loaded this time. I'm not about to repeat the raid incident. But all I got from those raiders was 2 broken crossbows and another banner to add to my collection. And I hate to be that guy, but day 30 was also really boring. I just finished chopping trees and then leveled out the land, but trust me, it's for a good purpose. Day 31 is already off to a great start. I immediately pissed off an Enderman, and he was a slippery one too. He kept dodging my hits, but in the end, he was trapped behind my wall. I was always gonna win. I took the grass block he so kindly dropped for me and framed it beside my bed. I really needed an excuse to decorate this room. It's sad. The rest of the day was comprised solely of a little bit of farming and lots of terraforming. The majority of day 32 was mostly the same, just shoveling and placing dirt. But as night began to fall, I noticed a skeleton horse just sitting there, so of course I had to have it. But right as I got the lead attached, it got struck by lightning and all hell broke loose. It took a lot of time to clear out all the skeletons, but by the end of it, I had my skeleton horse. But now I needed a name tag, so all work will stop until I fish one up. So that's what I did for all of day 33, but I don't have that footage, it appears, so you must now stare at a black screen for multiple uncomfortable seconds. But luckily, I fished up a saddle during this time, so now I had it tamed, and I think it won't despawn now. Hooray. I decided I wanted to see how he was doing, stats-wise, so I took him out for a test ride, and, you know, for a horse made entirely out of bones, he ain't bad. But I probably wouldn't keep him forever, so I went to find a swamp so I could get him some clay and make a nice brick stable for him. Looking back now, I probably could have found some around my home base, but it's okay because I found something better. An ice spikes biome. Right next to a snowy village. This is exactly what I needed right about now. Lock them up. Soon they will all be under my control. I quickly noticed that there was also a giant gaping hole in the middle of the village. This is going to be fun to clean up. That's not what I'm going to do on day 35. Today is going to be strictly wall. This is what all that tree chopping and terraforming was for. Aren't you so excited? The reason I'm adding a second wall is because I just need a lot more space for things. Maybe now or in the future, but I especially need more farm space. When I get to trading with those villagers, I'm going to need the crops stored up. Unfortunately, by the end of day 35, my cobblestone resources had reached the end, so I had to go mining for more on day 36. And I got really distracted doing that all day, so distracted that I decided to make a staircase all the way down to diamond level. Don't worry, I'll be back here soon. Day 37 was more wall, built with my newly acquired cobblestone. And once I finished that, I just did my chores and went out at night to light up my newly earned space on my land. Today was very productive. And now I'm back in the giant cave. I still want more diamonds. And things were going well for a little while as I ventured deeper into the cave, certain I would find those great diamonds soon. But then as I was fighting a horde of zombies, a bunch of mobs started falling down from the roof and I was suddenly down at half health. I heard creepers, I heard skeletons. I wasn't about to die like this, so I boxed myself up and healed a little bit, then picked the mobs off one by one from the safety box. After that experience, I didn't exactly feel like mining anymore, so I went back to the surface. And of course, right as I returned to what I think is a safe space, some raiders showed up. My luck is terrible, but they're also really dumb, so they mostly just killed themselves. And then I spent some time looking at the sunset while my iron smelted in the furnace. People who say this game is ugly probably feel real dumb right now. I decided to go back into the mines on the morning of day 39. I really want those diamonds. And it didn't take long for me to dig right into a mine shaft at diamond level. If I don't find them here, then I'm truly cursed. And after a bit of searching, I did indeed find them, but I had to fight through a couple skeletons to get to them. I also had to go AFK because someone rang my doorbell. How fun. But right when I got back, I dug them up, and it felt great. It might have only been 2, but that's exactly the amount I needed. You see, now that I had those 2 diamonds, I could go get 3 of the ones I had found previously, make a pickaxe, get some obsidian, and make an enchanting table. This is huge. So that's exactly what I did. I don't care how many cows have to die for these bookshelves. But the least fun part of this process was still ahead of me on day 40, getting the obsidian. I already had a hard time finding any, so it didn't help that I was pretty close to death here. But in the end, I got it, and I finally had my enchanting table. And this was probably a bad move, but I enchanted my pickaxe with efficiency too. I honestly just wanted to enchant something before the day ended, so I guess I got my wish. On day 41, I tested out my new pickaxe by doing something I never thought I would do, tearing down walls. Don't worry though, it was just the initial inner wall that had to go. It just got in the way most of the time. It took up a pretty big part of the day, but I still had some daylight left once I finished, so I went back to the snowy village. I want them to remember who's going to be in charge from here on out. Unfortunately, I didn't have much time to show my true power because there was work that needed to be done. I have a hunch that those villagers probably won't be fixing that hole in the ground anytime soon, but it's a fair trade in my eyes. I do all the manual labor, and in turn I get to enslave them and any future generations for all of eternity. This way, everyone wins. I put in the finishing touches at the beginning of day 42. It still needs some work, but my people need me elsewhere. So I went back to my house and placed down some lanterns that I stole in my bedroom. I think it looks nice. After that, I spent the rest of the day expanding my farm. I told you, I'm gonna need those profits one day. But today we got some hard work to do, so we gotta get to it. Yeah, I just cut trees all day. It wasn't very entertaining. I'll spare you the suffering. But the reason I was chopping trees was for something more important. I was gonna be making a path to the village. It probably won't look fancy, but like I've said 1,000 times by now, it'll be functional, and that's all that matters. Day 44 was very similar. I could probably use the same footage as day 43 and no one would know, but I would never do that. Or would I? Trust me, all these days of boring footage is going to be worth it when it's all done. But right now you're just going to have to accept that this isn't very fun to watch. You're a big kid, I trust you. I got a lot of work done today though. You might not be able to tell, but this is a full day of work in Minecraft. Pretty underwhelming. But you know, at night, it's kind of beautiful to look at. You know what isn't beautiful though? This creeper, oh god! Sorry, I just had to make sure that anyone that had fallen asleep is wide awake now. Phew, we've had too much excitement in the past couple of seconds. We gotta slow it down. Here, let's build a path all day. Yeah, that's right, all day. But on day 46, because let's be honest, I was getting bored at this point too, I went mining. Mostly because I knew I'd find some more diamonds in that mine shaft though. But before that, I found a name tag in a chest. I think I know who's gonna get this. After I found that, however, I found more diamonds than I ever thought I would have. Well, at least more in terms of the amount of veins of them. This here was a vein of 3, which I grabbed while the skeletons back there were having a duel. But the next 3 veins I found in this cave were single veins. If that isn't bad luck, I don't know what is. But it wasn't all bad. I found a spider spawner, which would probably be useful later, so I wrote down the coordinates. All in all, not a terrible day of mining, but it's still kind of disappointing that this ginormous cave only got me 6 diamonds. I was AFK at the beginning of day 47, but after that I went back to the mines. And after a little bit of mining, I had 6 diamonds in my pocket, but that was spread across 4 veins. If I got luckier on all the previous veins I had, with them having 2 or 3 in it, I could have full diamond armor at this point. I also did find one of those crystal geode things, not sure what they're called, but the blocks looked cool, so I grabbed some of them. After I had my fun in that mine shaft, I moved a bit further up to mine so I could get some iron. If I wanted to use that name tag, I was going to need an anvil, so I needed lots of iron. And I also happened to mine directly into another spawner. This one was much closer to my house though, so I would probably use it over the other one if I wanted an XP farm. At this point, my inventory was packed full of loot, but I guess I was having too much fun, so I continued on. And I didn't stop until the sun was rising on day 48. I used all the iron I got to make an anvil. It's time to name my horse. After thinking long and hard about it, I think I landed on a perfect name. I shall name him Ferguson. After I dealt with that, I realized that my plan to work on the trail today wasn't a good idea because of the rain, so I bet you'll never guess what I did next. Yeah, I went back to mining. Nothing interesting happened, so I'll just skip through it. I have a problem. Now that I think about it, the next few days are very boring, so I'll just speed through them too. Day 49, I added a few bookshelves to my enchanting setup and then finished the path to the village. Day 50, went back and lit up the path and got some blocks for something I'll be building in the village and took a ride back with Ferguson. And finally, on day 51, take a guess what I'm building. Just kidding, don't do that, you'll look stupid. I'm building a villager breeder. But all I did that day was dig around where it was going to be and then build the frame of it. And now that all that's out of the way, things will hopefully get interesting again. So, for the beginning of day 52, I continued working on the villager breeder, trying to make it look nice, but I ran out of the blocks I wanted to use and needed more, so I had to go back to my house. But on the way there, I saw something I'd forgot to mention before. You see, when I found this village in the first place, I actually found a naturally spawning pink sheep. And I thought it was pretty cool, but not insane, so I just left it. But it's been a while since I did anything terrible to an animal, and I'm starting to gain a conscience, so let's do something about that. Yeah, now this. This is just awful. It fills me with joy. I got back to my base and found a nice corner in my basement where I wouldn't be able to hear his screams. But then I realized that I would need a name tag if I actually wanted him to be stuck there forever, so I had to fish for that as well. Now, between you and me, I'm pretty sure passive mobs don't actually need a name tag to not despawn, but I wanted to give it a name, and fishing is peaceful, so don't worry about it. But yeah, if you can't tell by now, I'm not exactly the luckiest person in the world, so this might take a while. But I'm gonna do it for that sheep, if no one else. See what I mean about it being calming, though? This is nice, especially in hardcore. No mobs, no running, just peace. And on the morning of day 53, I caught that name tag, so I guess it didn't actually take as long as I thought it would. I didn't have to think for very long about this guy's name. Is it immature? Yeah, but it makes me smile. And you can't take that away from me. The rest of the day was spent mining because I really just don't want to work on the villager breeder. All of the hmms I heard all day were driving me nuts. Day 54, I just continued work on the villager breeder. I know I just said I didn't want to do it, but it has to get done. Don't worry, they'll suffer in the end. On day 55, I made the finishing touches to the breeder, but I don't really like it. I was out of blocks and I didn't have any other choice, but I'll just have to leave it for now. After that, I just went home and did my chores for the rest of the day. I'm getting to a point where that takes a decent amount of time. Ooh, and day 56 was a fun one. I was just trying to get villagers into the actual breeder, but that came with a whole set of problems. First, I realized that a minecart was not going to work, at least not the way way I was doing it, so then I switched to using boats, but that was hard because boats suck. And once I finally got a single villager in there, he immediately ran out. I was able to catch him quickly after, but it was all just a pain. Once I finally got a couple of them into the actual building, I tried throwing bread at them and hoping they would do something, but that didn't really work either, go figure. So I just gave up and watched them do some weird moves through the window, and then as I was trying to get in there, one of them escaped again! I didn't kill him, but God knows I want to. After doing a quick Google search, I realized that the thing I did wrong was not giving the villagers enough bread. They need 3 each to make a kid, but the farmer took all of it. So I fixed it and got my first child. I didn't record it, but that's probably for the best. Then I went back to my base and sat AFK in the yard for the rest of the day. And when I got back, I don't know what came over me, but I decided to place down a campfire and have a little campsite going. Still not really sure why I did it, but I guess it looks kinda nice. Day 58 consisted entirely of farming, but that's mostly because I was fixing my farm. I wanted to maximize the amount of crops I could fit, so I got rid of most of the unnecessary water and replaced it with more crops, as well as adding a little extra in the back of the farm. Once I was done, I didn't have anything else to do, so I went to sleep. For day 59, all I wrote in my notes was that I went mining and that I hate villagers. Let's see if that's true. Okay, yeah, I see the mining. Got a couple diamonds, it appears, so that's cool. And let's fast forward here, and yep. You can definitely see the hatred for the villagers here. Honestly though, it's half hate for villagers and half hate for boats. I mean, come on. I had to use an entire piston to get up a single block. It's ridiculous. Day 60's notes also just simply again reiterate my hate for villagers, but remember, that's also for boats too, so I can't give the villagers all the flack. Honestly though, looking back, my design for this villager breeder sucked. I could have easily prevented the villagers from leaving, but this gap right here was small enough for the baby villager to just walk right through. Why? Maybe I would be able to see the comedy in this if they would just listen! And then when I was trying to get the baby back in, the second I removed this dirt block, they stormed the exits and there was nothing I could do about it. To be fair, I did enslave them against their will, and I would run away too if I had the chance. But even watching this footage back is making me mad. Once I finally got them back in the breeder, they got right to doing just that. Whoa, guys, slow it down, save it for day 69. Says the creepy man standing in the corner watching this all happen. By the time day 61 rolled around, I was entirely done with these villagers, so I just ran away. I then proceeded to mine for the rest of the day. It's very therapeutic. But those villagers really must have messed me up because I continued mining all the way through day 62. Don't worry, it was still uninteresting. But the fun doesn't stop there because I was AFK for the entirety of day 63. When I snapped out of my delirium, I noticed that there was some light coming from the distance. Might as well go check that out so this day wasn't completely wasted. It's another spruce village. What are the odds of another one so close? But really, how did I not see this in all 63 of these days up till now? It just seems like I'm pretty dumb. But I will definitely be working in this village from here on out as soon as I kill all these zombies. Okay, so now it's confession time. I really hated that snowy village. Like, really hated it. Not only was I on the verge of slaughtering every villager there, but the terrain was just such a pain to walk around on. This village is not only closer to my base, but it will be so much easier to clean up. So that's a long way of saying I'm abandoning the snowy village. But all that will start after I get my wealth, so it's back to the mines. So that's what I did all the way through day 65. But I actually found a decent amount of diamonds during these 2 days, and now my pile has reached a very substantial number, 26. And obviously the first thing I did on day 66 was make full diamond armor. I just couldn't resist. But then I noticed a giant flaw with my enchanting room. I had placed my bookshelves wrong, so I couldn't get to level 30 enchants. But after a lot of googling, replacing, and wasted books, I finally got there. So, just so everyone knows, this is how you set up bookshelves. Just do it like this and save your time. After that conundrum, I actually got some decent enchants on my armor. Protection and Unbreaking 3 on the pants, and Protecting 2 on the chestplate. Could be better, but could be a lot worse too. Once all of that was out of the way, I decided there was something else I needed to do. Something that will hopefully not take as long as the last time I did it. That's right, I'm making another path to the newer, better village. Hopefully, since it's much closer, it won't take nearly as long. And it really didn't. By the end of day 67, I had made it all the way to the village with time to spare. It's not the prettiest path because it kind of just cuts through a bunch of trees, but I kind of like it, honestly. And it also saved me a lot of time chopping down trees. Day 68 was mostly just mining. I think I needed more iron. But after I got all that figured out, I spent most of the night creating an incinerator for all my trash. It was starting to pile up. I think it looks kinda nice. The people who hate diorite will disagree, but their opinions don't matter. And day 69, ooh, it's gonna be nice. All I did today was breed my animals and then attempt to breed some villagers. I'm very mature. It took a long time to get them to make me a child. I guess they don't like doing it in nature. But right as the day was coming to a close, they finally did it. Yes! Still feels a bit weird to just watch from afar, though. I was about to sleep right next to this child, but even on day 69, I still think that'll get me arrested somewhere, so I made sure to move my bed far away. Day 70 was entirely chores. This is what I get for my unholy acts of the day before. And it was day 71 when I realized that my basement was super boring. Let's change that. And everything was going pretty smoothly. I was using blocks that I thought looked good, but then I dug out one block and found it was the part of the staircase that went down to my mine. Why do things always end up like this? Whatever. That's tomorrow me's problem. It's tomorrow and I hate myself. Whatever. I just had to make the compromise that the top block of the staircase would be a block. The way I see it, I'm gonna be jumping up the stairs anytime I come up anyway, so this is probably okay. After I came to that conclusion, I had to go searching for what I would be using for the floor block. And if you're even a little into interior design, you should look away now. I used amethyst for the ground. It really isn't that bad. I think it looks kind of nice, but I can see some people physically cringing at this. Once I was done with that, I decided to do some mining to clear my mind. I went back to that giant cave because there were still parts I hadn't explored in it. So I went into the mineshaft part of the cave that I never searched, went down one of the halls, opened a chest, and it had an enchanted golden apple in it. Man, I should really go exploring like this more often. Day 73 and I'm already down in the mines again. It's almost like I never left, mostly because I didn't. But after doing a bit of strip mining, I came across an absolutely massive cave, and I thought it was a good sign that I immediately spotted some diamonds when I peeked my head out. So I went on and I explored the whole thing. And you want to know how many diamonds I found? 3. In 3 separate veins! At this point, I was genuinely starting to wonder if I somehow had some sort of bad luck mod installed, because this is not natural. That's like my 10th single diamond vein. It's ridiculous. My exploration even cut into day 74, but that's still all I got. I decided it was finally time I start that cleanup on the village I had mentioned way back when, so I did just that. I chopped trees all of day 75. It wasn't very fun, but it had to get done. More tree chopping, day 76. How exciting. I also added this staircase. Now I can't be liable for any villager injury. Well, if they were ever allowed out of their houses, but we both know that's not happening. And now I'm back at the snowy village. I swore I would never return, but I need my beds. I also let them be free of their prison. It's fine, they'll die soon enough. I spent the beginning of day 78 gathering resources for my new and improved villager breeder. Hopefully it'll actually work this time. And no, I didn't change the design at all. That takes effort. Look, I like the design and the snowy villagers didn't deserve that much anyway. These villagers though, they definitely do. They did the bare minimum of just getting in the house when I said so. What more could I ask for? Really, the only thing I changed was how I got them into the breeder in the first place. Apparently, they can't open fence gates, so I just put 2 sets of them down and now they can never leave. Good. So that's what I did on day 79, as well as putting the beds in. I at least got that part right on my last design. After that, I tried to get the first villager in and immediately encountered a problem. I forgot that path blocks are slowly lower than normal blocks, and boats can't climb up that single pixel, so I was effectively trapped. I even tried to use a piston, but that didn't work, which is honestly okay with me. If I had to do that with every villager, I might as well just be dead. So I let this one go. He gets to live, at least for now. Then I got rid of most of the path blocks around the entrance, and after that, the process went a lot more smoothly. I had 4 villagers in there by the end of the day. Day 81 was more of the same, but I didn't record it. Very tragic. I know you wanted to see some more villager kidnapping, Jeremy. On day 82, I did some chores at my main base, then went mining. Just wanted a simple and calm day for once. And it was day 83 when I realized I don't have that much XP, and I kinda need that stuff, so I started building a mob farm. Remember that spawner I found all those days ago? That's what I'm using. And yeah, this was a multi-day process, so I'll just skip over the details for you. The only notable thing that happened was that I built a ladder to the surface that would prove to be completely useless once I actually built the farm, so that's cool, I guess. Construction went through most of day 84, but when it was done, it immediately started working the second I broke the torch. And I don't know how I managed to do it, but when I wrote the sign to go to the farm, I accidentally left the M off of farm. I swear, normally I'm not this dumb. Once I had the farm ready, of course you know I had to use it, but I didn't just want to do nothing while the zombies were spawning, so I made an AFK fish farm. This way I can get a bit extra loot and XP on the side. Now, don't get mad at me or anything, but I spent days 86 and 87 AFK farming the whole time. But in my defense, I needed the XP. Trust me, it'll end up being worth it in the end. Like on day 88 when I decided to go do some enchanting. I made a diamond sword but only got sharpness 2 on it, so not off to a great start. But then I enchanted a pickaxe and got literally the best enchants on it. Seriously, efficiency 4, fortune 3, and unbreaking 3. That is an insane pickaxe. So naturally, I decided to do a bit of mining with this thing, and I'll just cut to the chase. I mined 8 diamonds and got 22 out of it. Seriously, fortune is broken. On day 89, however, I didn't really feel like I needed to keep mining, so I cleared out my farms, then went to start transporting villagers to their own respective huts. It took most of the day, but I was finally able to get a villager safely into his own hut, and he was given the job of farmer. He wanted to buy my potatoes, so you gotta know I made a mad dash back home to get him those potatoes. And as embarrassing as it is, this is also the first trade I've ever made with a villager. It's day 90. Yikes. But it doesn't matter, because he buys my potatoes, so he will be named Potato Joe. The kidnapping continued on day 91. If you thought I was done, you were sadly mistaken. But don't be fooled. The only sad ones here are the villagers. I got a Fletcher in today. I have so much wood lying around, I might as well be making money from it. I got a 3rd villager in on the morning of day 92. I want to make him a mending librarian, but if you know anything about this process, it's gonna take a while. But after not too long of trying for it, I finally got that mending trade. And apparently, this is almost as cheap as it gets, so I got pretty lucky. So you gotta know I filled my pockets with them. What else did you expect? I got 6 total, then went home and put one on my pickaxe. Big Dig Boy has been acquired. But finally, I had enough villager torture for a while, so I began working on something I should have done a long time ago. That's right, I'm going to the Nether, but I need a good place for this portal to go. And trust me, I tried every single wall in the basement, but every single time there was something in the way or something that got messed up when I did it, so I just had to compromise with putting it on the surface. I don't like it, but I guess it works for now. And yes, I spent an entire day doing this. What's it to you? I got the obsidian I needed on day 94, and after a bit of hesitation, I hopped in. I spawned in a warped forest. I don't know if that's good, but at least there's no pigs in sight, just Endermen. And I got right to work, taking blocks from the natural habitat of said Enderman. Then I built a cobblestone box around my portal, safety first. When I made my way back to the surface, after a very underwhelming trip to the underworld, I made the entrance reflect the Nether a bit more. It's simple, but I'll improve upon it one day. But I guess that small trip had me scared, because day 95 I went back to my AFK farm. I'm not proud of it, I hope you know, especially since I got nothing from it, but I have to be honest with you. Reinvigorated with energy after all that, however, I went back to the Nether, and doing so led me to discover I'd spawned right next to a Nether fortress. I guess the game feels bad for me now. So I immediately left the Nether to get some blocks for my base. I'm gonna build a bridge to a close part of the fortress, but I don't want it to look ugly, come on. And it was going great. Well, at least until it wasn't. A blaze from the fortress spotted me, and now it was shooting at me, threatening to push me into the lava. I was gonna need a bow to kill it, so that's what I ran off to get next. And yeah, this is my first time using a bow. I kinda just forgot they existed, to be honest. But after that problem was solved, the rest of the day went smoothly. Day 97, I continued on the bridge, but I accidentally landed my vision on an Enderman for a millisecond, and that's punishable by death. But I mean, come on, he can't teleport up to me. The Enderman chased me across the bridge, almost knocking me into the lava in the process, and took a chunk off of my health. Seriously, don't underestimate Enderman. But surprisingly, that near-death experience didn't knock the bridge-building wind out of my sails, so I marched forward. I finally made contact with the fortress and almost immediately started getting harassed by a wither skeleton. I dealt with him. On day 98, I AFK farmed all day, how boring. And on day 99, I went mining, how also boring. But finally, day 100, it's here. And I wanted to make sure it was great, so I did what anyone else would do and stood there doing nothing. But in reality, I was doing research. I wanted to have some fireworks to launch as the sun went down, and wanted to have some cool ones. But it took a long time, so I only ended up with 9 of them. Fireworks are very complicated. I had to cut it short because of the other things I wanted to do that day. I wanted to make a monument of sorts for surviving 100 days, so I did just that. It took a little bit to get the design just right, but in the end I think it turned out pretty good. I tried to use blocks from the new update to really encapsulate what this was all about, and also a diamond block for the flex, of course. And as the sun set on the 100th day, a llama spawned in, are you kidding? Welp, too late to kill it now. Just gotta get the shot of the sunset. And you know I killed them afterwards. It's too dark, the police don't have to know. And that's it. That's 100 days in hardcore Minecraft. This was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot about the newer versions of the game. I would love to go to 200 days in this world, just not anytime soon. This took forever to make. But if the people want it, then they will get it. One day. But for now, I think you should watch this video right here. It's probably not as good as this one, but it's worth a shot. Subscribe today to become one of the boys, and as always, keep being epic.